So I just wanted to make a quick video to let you guys know that over on my podcast, which is In the Mic of Madness, in case you guys aren't subscribed, I'll leave a link in the description below. So if you want to hear a little bit more of my rhetoric, you can go check that out on there. I have 2 co-hosts. It's a fun time. But I got the pleasure recently of being involved in an interview with a director by the name of Todd, who's directed tons and tons of shot-on-video horror. He's a pretty big name in horror, so it was a big deal for my podcast, for my co-host. We even had a guest co-host, a buddy of mine named Slade, and he is a huge Todd fan. He knew so much about his stuff. I kind of just sat back and was like, "Damn, dude, you're meeting someone that you genuinely love. This is great." You know, I'm not super familiar with Todd's work. But how this all came to pass is kind of funny and a tad ironic, as I, gave his one film I've seen a less than stellar review, and I was contacted by the producer of the movie wanting to set up an interview, and I was hesitant because I'm like, he wants to come on my show because I, said some mean things about his movie. That seems very, suspect and kind of awkward. I don't know exactly what we're talking about. Does he want to come on there and fight with me? Like, I don't know. This is odd. And after I talked to a few people who have told me that he is very well regarded in the horror community as a great guy, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, what's worse going to happen? We're going to have a fight. Oh, well, so be it. I'll stick, I'm not afraid. It was just kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, I mean, this is interesting, this is odd, but why not? And so he came on the show, and I have to say, I mean, he was such a great guy, and we got along really well. We were actually kind of bonded over a couple things, weird things that you wouldn't think horror fans would bond over. There, like Paddington 2, we were both really super into that movie. We got talking about that somehow. Well, he has a picture on his profile or something with Paddington, and I was like, oh my God, Paddington. So very odd thing for us to bond about, especially after everything that I've already said. But I mean, he was just such a great guy. I felt kind of bad for shit I had said about his film. Doesn't mean I'm going to back down from it. It's just, these guys put a lot of their heart and soul into these movies. And then a reviewer like me can just take 2 seconds and say some mean shit. And it's like, well, fuck, man. We put so much work into this. And in 2 seconds, you can tear it apart like that. And it's not fun for me to do as a reviewer. I don't like shitting on movies. You guys know that if you watch my channel enough. This sounds like it's turning into some fucking apology or something. That is not what this is. This is me just saying I had the pleasure of interviewing a very, very cool guy. A pure horror fan, a guy who lives and breathes horror. You can listen to it in the podcast. The guy loves what he does, and I think that even if you're not a fan of his work, you should give it a listen because you will respect his tenacity and his dedication to creating his craft through all the trials and tribulations that he's went through to get the films out that he's made. He works with micro budgets, and he constantly does. A lot of big directors, they worked on micro budgets for their first movie, their first couple movies, and then eventually they broke in and then they got to work with bigger budgets, and that was a hard time for them. But then there's other directors like this that have done 20, 30 freaking movies, and they're all on shoestring budgets. And whenever you make a movie like that, it's nerve-wracking because you don't have the means to make the movie you really want to make, but you do your damnedest, and it's a tough one. And listening to him talk about it just further solidifies my desire to get into the trenches with somebody like that and make something like this, because I also have such a passion for it. And I'm willing to eventually get shit on by some critic like me who thinks he knows everything online. I'll take it, but it'll be just cool enough to put something out there for hopefully someone to enjoy. But my co-hosts all really like his movies that they've seen, so it was a really fun interview. I just wanted to bring it up on here because I know that there's a lot of people who are subscribed to my channel that are not subscribed to my podcast. And if you are a Todd Sheets fan, we interview him for an hour and a half. And he's a very talkative man, much like me, but this is his interview and I wanted him to talk. So he does the majority of the talking for once. I was kind of like, oh my God, I'm not used to this, but it was all cool stuff, and I really did enjoy listening to him. So this is a guy who's out there actually doing it. And no matter what I might think of the one movie of his I've seen, he's a fucking awesome guy. And I feel very lucky to have met him, and he was so professional about everything. He gave me some shit about my review, and I expected it, and I wanted it. But he was very professional about it. Very cool guy, very stand-up guy. And so, Todd, if you're watching this, thank you for coming on. It was an honor. And for those of you who don't know about it or haven't seen it, whatnot, go take a listen. It's good stuff. And he's a cool guy. So there you go. That's my pitch. Hope you guys check it out. Adios.